Hello, hello. So, it's another live stream, whatever you want to call that. And where my internet hasn't been working, I haven't been making videos. And it's not also my internet, it's a case of really for the first time, I know I'm up against the wall like never before. I'm normally a fighter with regards to finding solutions and ways out of the turmoil, the where life can find us. Life has, my mental health pushed me to become good at that. But where I am now, there's a solution. I know there's a solution. But in the way I went about getting myself out of that place before, all those times, and finding solutions, that same application isn't quite appropriate this time. It's a little bit more severe. It's a little bit more full on and all encompassing to just simply find my way out. So I've been sort of what you'd call blown out, I think is the term, where you're just like, when you tune into the pain of life, it's too painful and you want any way out. And in that place, suicide becomes an option. Really anything becomes an option if you're true with yourself, because you just want to get away from the pain. So in other words, drugs, suicide. But what people don't really often realise is that they're only options because bliss and joy is also an option. So I guess what this depression log, and it sort of occurred to me just before I started making it, is going to really consist of is so before I get into that, what I normally do with the live streams is find myself. So if I talk through my life and my strange set of circumstances, it's almost like a meditation. You know, if I do a 30-minute live stream, it's a meditation, it achieves the same thing. I see where I am within reality. I don't know what I get from it in terms of, you know, with meditation it's all about being still, so you're truly feeling. But I know it's somewhere in that direction. And that's what I normally do. I just talk through my circumstances and I normally find where I am. And when I find out where I am, in a place of presence to the moment, a route forward is often there. And that's all we need, just a route forward. Because anything is better than being here. But I know that's not really been, I did that once or twice on this current, what would you call it, current let's just say I normally break walls down with my head, and this one is a little bit more challenging. So on this current challenge, so I've taken time over the past 2 weeks, and we're going to move to the kitchen now. I've taken time over the past 2 weeks, not wanting to, not intending to, because the pain is more intense and more painful than ever, and the pressures of life are the same again. And really, sometimes just sitting in the pain, sometimes just sitting in the depression is all we need to just say to ourselves, don't fear it, because the fear of depression often can lead to us fighting it on some level, and fighting it on some level is not what you want to be with depression. So as I was saying just before this video, I thought, since I'm not in a place where I'm going to find myself from this live stream, what I'll do is offer viewpoints on depression, because nobody wants to be here in depression. Nobody likes depression. It's not a place to be, it's not a place to live, it's not a clean energy for life. But sometimes we find ourselves here, and depression is a taboo subject in this world. It's all a hush hush. It's all like, don't speak about the depression. Speak about anything else, just not the depression. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, violence, if you must, but just not depression. And well, I'm a bit autistic and don't understand the world. And really, I found myself in this place, and it's not something you want to speak about. Circumstances come to it, and you've got a means of therapy of making live streams for spirituality and your mental health. Well, depression is on the cards. And I'm a fighter. I apply to a certain extent, a personal development type of attitude to life constantly. You know, how can I improve myself? How can I improve life? And ironically, in that sense, it's a case of I've begun to realise you don't. You get rid of stuff. In other words, life is perfect. Life is lovely. You just simplify. Often with the personal development mindset, you think, right, how can I become richer? How can I become fitter? How can I become a better lover? How can I become this and that? And for me, where I've found, like a pinnacle of my own personal development journey is when I've had less than ever. And in that place, you can concentrate on the things that matter in life. Your body, your mind, each other, life, simplicity, nature, love. And from that sort of mindset and from that sort of attitude to life, I feel like I have, and again, taking into account my spiritual understandings and all the input I've had in my life from some teachers that have pointed me in the right direction, I know I'm blessed there. So I don't normally apply this logic, but in terms of yin and yang, sometimes you have to give to receive. So I'm thinking well, no, I'm not thinking, it's just like the situation says, I could really do with talking. Just to hear my voice with him being blown out for so long. And in honesty, I don't know what to make a live stream about in this place. But if I can give something from the perspective of this horrible place that we find ourselves in sometimes in life, just one person might take something from it when they find themselves here next. And at least something's come of this. So where to start? I'm fighting my mental health right now because he wants to play a game with me right now, like, pressure of the live stream, what you're gonna say, I'm not gonna let you think when you need to think. So I'm just gonna talk and we'll go about it that way. So depression log, day, I don't know the number, but it's starting to get hard. The depression is taking control and I'm losing my management of it. I've lost my application to life in terms of meaning and hope and everything else. As I said, in this place, suicide becomes an option. So it's intense. I'm struggling with elements of society, very much so. I've been really, what would you call it? I've observed the world from a distance from the place of my autism for many years, and I see the pain in the world and I see the injustice in the world. On a personal level, I'm a Libran, so I hold the scales of truth, so to speak, and I'm all about justice. So that's how I see the world. But seeing the world and you see the injustice, it gets to you. And I think really, if I have to take a guess to say, why is this happening with spiritual awareness? Because with spirituality, nothing is wasted. I'd almost go as far as saying life has given me the opportunity to be real with the world for the first time in my life, instead of trying my best and suppressing the true emotions, the pain, the anguish, witnessing people suffering, and to a certain extent myself being blessed in that regard, and to another extent where I'm blessed to a great deal of suffering in the world, I'm also poor to another part of the world. And I'm weak, and I'm unable to apply myself to another part of the world. So I've realised I don't have a lighter here. I'm just going to pop back and get one for 2 seconds. Be back in a second. then in this place I don't want to live. I don't want to be alive. I see how powerless I am, how unjust, how painful life, reality in the world is to every human. Every human. Even the culprits that caused the suffering in the first place. And we find ourselves in a bit of a pickle as an 8 billion strong collective, fighting amongst each other, suffering, our inability to coordinate and come together in simplicity to just being human. Our ideals, our ideas of what it means to be alive our indoctrinations, our conditioning, all the different cultures, all the different nations all around the world is the problem. We can't quite instantly forget that. And if we did, we'd still have those problems, because within our bodies, within our energy body, within our suppressed unconscious memory, the division would always be there, the unhealed part of ourselves. And it'd be inevitable that would come out, especially when you look at the world. So we all had a moment of amnesia together, and we woke up with this world in front of us. How soon would it be before we start going down the same tracks and path? And I'm realizing that no human alive is real. Because the truth of life, in terms of us as a collective race, and what you do in this place as an individual human, anything that might have meaning. Sorry, just having my probiotic yogurt. Anything that might have meaning gets lost. We don't know our true history, and those that do are in pain and antagonizing it. So in other words, the ones at the top of the pyramid that are shining light, not from the right place. Otherwise, why wouldn't they create pure bliss instead of this? And well, it's the truth, and it's hard to hear, because I say it's the truth, and I'm here and I'm saying I can barely wake up, I can barely do a thing, I'm not functioning. For you to be taking the time to watch this idiot on Facebook or YouTube, you must be in a better place than me. If you're in a better place than me, like hell, you want to be in this place. And for that reason, there's a part of us that will forever deny the truth. You can't tell somebody how painful life is, they won't hear it, and I probably won't get a lot of views for this video as a result. But just maybe one day someone can hear it in the right way. Spirit will allow them to watch this video when they're in the right place to actually find the solution for themselves and for us all. But this is the truth. What can one do within this world to heal the wounds of every different culture, every different battle that's ever taken place, every different war, every different conflict, every different argument, and difference in points of view. We're a very ancient species, humanity, far older than the history books allow us to believe. And we're 8 billion people living a lie. You wake up and you realise the truth one day, and the pain of life is overpowering. What chance is there to for solutions? There isn't. So what I'm going to go through now is just and this is the nature of the place. It's a case of nothing is quite right. Nothing makes sense. It's like I want to express and I want to give. I want to guide. I want to make this place useful and practical to existence, but in truth it's the very nature of depression is a type of death while you're alive. And for a short time, I believe that's a healing process. Everything in life can be used as a means of health and healing with the right level and application of consciousness. And depression, I've said it many times, gives us a chance to withdraw, to turn in, to calm the nerves, to darken the light and soothe. That's how to view depression. And to stay proactive where possible. That's my application. And I've done that for the longest time, and I've been able to breathe, I've been able to function, I've been able to get on. I constantly break. But after a while I get up and get on because I've learnt lessons from the past. And it's taken spirituality and it's taken surreal events in life to really knock me down. So I really do feel I can talk to a certain extent to many humans who are experiencing elements of depression in their life from this place right now. And what occurred to me earlier is for many people who don't take maybe a spiritual or compassionate understanding to life in the world, if they find themselves in a place of depression and they don't commit suicide and they also don't suffer death as a result of the problem in the first place. So often I can well imagine depression is caused by conflicts in the world, so wars. So if they manage to stay alive, life continues. And if you're coming from a place of conflict and war, the conflict's going to hold you in a place of anxiety and fight or flight. I imagine not all circumstances, but I'm generalising. And in that place, you're not really going to have a chance to feel the depression. And then the situation, the external conflict eases. Life becomes lighter. The depression melts and you get on with life. But unless we're real with life to the extent where we can say, and admit to ourselves what we went through, the pain that we suffered. And not only the pain that we suffered, but really, what is it I'm trying to say? What that event means. So in other words, if we suffered depression as a result of conflict and war, we have to be honest with ourselves and look at what causes that conflict in the first place. Because we really have to begin to explore the world. We have to explore war. We have to explore ourselves. We have to explore each other's minds. Because when you open your eyes at that level, you see the world. It's not such a rosy place. We see ourselves separated and divided. War is commonplace to a certain extent. Nobody likes it, but it's accepted. To the extent that the very almost governing body of war in the world, NATO, that's really there on the outside to prevent war and from happening, goes about it by insisting countries and nations hold back and reserve a percentage of the whole GDP of that nation to donate to war and arms for the means of stopping war. And in irony, we have here in the UK the Department of, what's it called? Ministry of Defence. And to my knowledge, the UK alone hasn't been in active conflict. I don't do politics. I said it so many times, so I could be wrong, but the Falklands were the last battle the UK really had by itself, where it went out and stood a purpose, stood its viewpoint to the world. But since then, you could almost say the UK hasn't gone to war. But it has, because there's a new way of hiding war that's developed, and in that place we have gangs of countries that get together to do the right thing by going to war against a country that is applying principles that go against that gang. And I need not say any more on war, because it's for one to really want to delve any further and explore what all of that complication means to an individual human being born anywhere on the planet. But from my point of view, there's not too much more that really contributes to human depression than that. There'll be individual instances of depression that one might suffer when he's gone out hunting for his village for food because they're getting low on supplies. And by the time they return, with the trappings of that hunting expedition, they find their village, or at least some of their village, have passed away from starvation and malnourishment. Those are really individualized circumstances that you can contribute to nature. And it wouldn't be pleasant. The depression would just be as strong, if not more, since you're holding a responsibility for life. But you can accept it, that you live in the same world where that's taken place. You'll feel compassion for those beings and love and everything else, but in this world it sort of takes away our humanity. And if we're honest with ourselves as human beings, we're instantly presented with a mental health disorder the moment we're born. Here guys, here 1 day old, deal with this. No wonder babies cry when they come into this world. But it's not to give up. We're presented with an impossible situation, and we have to be honest with ourselves with that from the off, from the get-go. And we have to give everything we have to find a solution. One, for ourselves, for our own sanity, because at least for myself, I don't know if it's different for anybody else, but when it's got to this level, and you're looking at the world as it is, and I am a previous drug abuser, though I'm adamant to state that I believe the means in which I have used drugs over the course of my life have saved my life. I've done it with a certain level of consciousness, though within those times there was an element of abuse nonetheless, and my body suffered. And that's where you really want to go, because the pain is so much. It's unimaginable to think how we can be left alone as an individual within 8 billion to suffer this pain. And in this place you start looking at the one thinking, well, what's the fucking point? What's the point? What am I going to achieve in this world when I'm left alone to suffer this? And the perception from depression is that everybody else has a smile on their face because they're able to function, they're able to get on, they're able to hide their own depression, whether they're aware of it or not. And I know it's almost like depression. No. In absolute truth, the place of depression where I find myself at the moment is supernatural. Because it might be hard to wrap your brains around this. I get a suspicion that it might be hard to comprehend what I'm about to say. But given what I expressed before, what we give to basically newborn babies as a challenge for their life, never really expressing to them the circumstance and situation, the world lying to them, telling them the American dream is the way, and all the advertising is all about sex and materialism, and that's the way they go, that's the way we go, that's the way I went. And to stand a chance of finding a truthful perception of the world, then looking back at your life and putting into place an understanding of why people don't speak about it and tell you. I don't know. I struggle with that element. Why haven't my parents given me the wisdom about depression through active speech, through communication? Why isn't it widely spoken about? Why aren't there discussion groups and conversations more than any other subject? If every person is born into this world, and if they want to be a truthful human being, they have to go this route. So what chance does a newborn baby really have by the time they live their life and find that place to then turn around and be able to digest it alone, compartmentalize it and feel the world is there for them? You look around and you see the world and people hiding the depression. So I know people are in depression, whether they feel it emotionally or know it mentally or another way. I know people are aware of it on some level, but for whatever reason, and it's the same with me, if I was given a chance right now not to be here, to function in some way, I'd grab it. Nobody wants to be here, not in this world. And in truth, the pain, if we're whole beings of that circumstance, is that you look at the world and think, I am suffering untold pain. No matter what I do in this life, that pain, my past will never be healed, that pain will never go. And in honesty, if we were given the chance to be whole beings and true with the pain on an emotional level, and really, and this is what I was trying to say, from that place of being a newborn baby and given this challenge in this ridiculous journey of life, that you're never going to rise to the challenge on a mental level, to compartmentalize it and understand it accurately enough, to then hold it with the wisdom in terms of an application on a daily basis. When this is the world, you're alone to 8 billion people who want to hide it and run away from it, like yourself. So you don't have a chance in hell of rising to the challenge that we're born into. So with a limited mindset, I have a limited mindset. My mind isn't able to comprehend the pain. And emotions are just truthful perceptions of life. And when they come through you, they hit your mind. And if your mind isn't able to deal with it because of everything that we've experienced, pain becomes a reality. So what we're essentially saying is that if I was a whole being right now, if I was truthful on a mental and emotional level, the lack of wisdom I have on a mental level, I'd commit suicide. I couldn't deal with the pain. It was so painful. And this is where I said it's a supernatural experience, because for some reason, I'm not true on all levels of my being. And I don't know why. I should be. I give everything to health, more than any other human being, maybe more than near enough every other human being that I know, to maintain good health. And with good health, you get a good function of your body, your energy, your emotions, your nervous system, and everything else. So I'm alive at the moment by means of a supernatural force, supernatural occurrence. It's not the place to be, is it? I need to find a solution as soon as possible to get myself the fuck away from here. And the fuck away from here means healing the entire planet. So it's a bit overwhelming, can be a bit intense, can be a bit full on. But what I've done, where I said I normally paint a picture for myself of where I'm at with these live streams to find the present moment, there's a gift in gold there for anybody that is depressed or likely ever to be depressed, because that's the world. That's depression through my eyes, wrapped up into a 45-minute non-live live stream. And I haven't offered the solution, but what I have offered is a likelihood of a progression for anybody experiencing depression from the state they are to a more finality of what depression is. And in that place, you have time, because to see the present moment, there's a sense of space and breathing and air and oxygen. And if you're early in your own experience of depression and you're hearing me talk about, I mean, I've had depression since my teens. I was bullied at school. That's when the first signs began to show. So we're talking about since the age of 11. I haven't had it all of that time, but it's been held within my consciousness and unconsciousness. And even when I didn't have it, I was an alternative therapist with the understanding that I'm never truly going to heal a human being until I fully heal myself. So I was actively trying to heal myself within that time. Maybe not directly for depression, but my consciousness was still in that direction. So you could say for the last 20, 25 years, I've been dealing with elements of depression to a greater or lesser extent. So if you're new to depression, and I've given you that
information. What I hope, because I don't know, but I hope, and what I sense, and from what I know of life and healing and depression, is that it will likely fast track your process there. But that's an inevitability of where you're going. But what it should do is, if you can get your mind right from your own reason for depression in your own life, in the early stages, you have depression in check, depression in a place where you can live. And you'll be aware of the finality. Now you'll have to become real with the entire world and life to truly experience that. This depression right now. But I've given you, in my mind, an opportunity of space from this truthful, brutal experience to breathe, to prepare yourself for when you find yourself here. And hopefully you should have many years through your own journey to do that. And when you find yourself in this place, you'll be prepared as much as you can to do what you see right and correct as a means to yourself in this place. I'm riding life on supernatural influences right now, and I'm taking it day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, second by second. In truth, I have no more to share. With my friend, we used to talk about the fast track to paradise. Shortcuts to how one could fast track themselves without 10,000 lifetimes of having to smile in every lifetime to achieve enlightenment. As so says Buddhism, in terms of what the Buddha had to achieve. And I'm giving you the fast track to depression, but the consciousness to build a buffer, build your mind, build your life in preparation for when you find yourself here. My uncle, I believe, was here, and he went about giving me the directions on how to manage when I found myself here without ever directly mentioning depression. His message was one of unconditional love for all of humanity. Seeing the world in truthfulness, in all of its brutality. And that was the route to here. So he gave me a 25-year journey. Maybe he picked me up after I began the journey, and he gave me the journey to its finality. He gave me tools in terms of Qigong to keep my body healthy. And he allowed me to create a proactive application of effort to make a positive change in the world first. And when that all stopped, when that all really ceased in its hope, then the depression hit in its truthfulness. I believe in what my uncle has given me. I have the tools within me to keep plugging away and keep finding a solution. But as I said, I'm riding on supernatural forces control at the moment, so I don't have much hope. But in knowing what my uncle has given me, I know it's almost like an inevitability. I know that probably is incomprehensible to some, but one way or another, I will succeed. And it's hard to say that because I know to succeed, I will have to suffer a lot more. So, taking plenty of, I believe it's UVC the sun gives out, not A or B, it's UVC that's helpful for the body. To my understanding, one of the best forms of defense against depression. If you want to take the sun on a biological level as well, supplementation, D3 in really high doses, over 5,000 milligram, whatever the number normally, it's normally like 100, go for 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. They're not too much more, but you just won't be able to find them on the high street. It'll be an online job. I get mine from eBay. So, wish me luck in finding the right crash helmet to put on my head. I don't think rocket boosters are going to be enough to strap to my body to propel me into this wall to break it down. I think I need whatever the Starship Enterprise had when it went warp speed. So wish me luck in finding that. But that's got to be one strong crash helmet. Proactive, truthful perception of depression. Depression isn't the problem. Depression is a place of natural healing for the body. But in this world, you don't want to sit in it.